I've always had a really good relationship with food. I live my life totally unconsciously following the 80-20 rule. 80% of my food is usually whole food, plant-based, and 20% of my food is whatever else. I have never restricted. You're gonna hear a little bit about that in a moment. I don't limit myself from things unless it doesn't sit well with my body and unless it doesn't make me feel good. And that's a different reason to limit food, because I feel crappy after eating it, not because I want to eat it and then restrict myself from eating it. Over the years, I have been everything along the scale, from omnivore to vegetarian to ovo-lacto vegetarian to vegetarian with a couple other pieces thrown into the mix to vegan with a few pieces thrown into the mix. And currently I would consider myself whole food, plant-based, plant predominant, and a little bit pescatarian. But this story isn't about that. This story is about Veganuary and the one time that I attempted Veganuary and had a horrible experience with it. Stick around, because in this video we are going to be setting you up for a successful Veganuary. I know we're a little bit early, but I wanted to get this video out so that you can start to percolate the information and start to shift your beliefs, your habits, your food choices, and start to really get yourself excited for Veganuary. Because as somebody who went into a Veganuary being mostly plant-based, being just this shy of vegan, my Veganuary was a nightmare. And I don't want that to happen for you. I want your Veganuary to be a catalyst, to be a jumping off point, to be a success story that completely shifts and alters how you eat going forward. So stick around, because in this video we are going to discuss 3 tips and a bonus tip, so stick around until the end, to making your Veganuary a successful one. Hello and welcome to, or welcome back to, the Simply CA. My name is Alana, and on this channel you are going to find tips, tools, resources, and exciting fun things to help you live your best, most authentic, most in alignment, and truest life that you can, that you are here to live, that is yours to live. We do that through human design lifestyle, nutrition coaching, whole food plant-based content, as well as yoga and fitness videos. If you enjoy this content, please remember to click on that subscribe button, the notification bell, so that you know every time I post a new video, and give the videos that you are enjoying a little thumbs up so I know what content to continue to make. We can also discuss that a little more down in the comments section. Okay, Veganuary. What even is it? Veganuary is a movement where you can find out more information. I'll leave a little link in the description box for you. But essentially it is a movement to encourage people to go vegan for 30 days. I attempted Veganuary a few years back with a really good friend of mine. Now, what made my Veganuary absolutely horrible, and the reason I really want to do this video and to set you up for success in this, is I was mostly plant-based. Veganuary was not a major jumping off point for me. It wasn't a huge step. It wasn't anything crazy. But for me, it was all psychological. As I said in the intro, I hadn't limited my food except when it made my body feel bad. So to put the parameters on myself, to tell myself what I couldn't have, just, was horrible for me. The other thing I want to comment on here is that for some people, all or nothing works. For some people, doing a quick cold turkey, no pun intended, works. For other people, it is a process. I had been bouncing around and moving through different stages of vegetarian and vegan since I was 10. And on top of that, my mom was brought up vegetarian, so I was brought up pretty much vegetarian. So with all of that, I want to say that this is successful if you approach it in a way that is going to create success for you. Now, to find out if this is going to be successful for you or how to approach it that is successful for you, go ahead and check out some of those human design videos because they give some input into how each one of us approaches our life in very different ways. I also want to say that although the actual month of Veganuary felt restrictive and was psychologically challenging for me, the overall success of it was incredible. I really have, ever since then, been far more vegan than I previously had been. And I want to say that I am one of those people on the internet that is not here to say it's all or nothing. I am one of those people on the internet who is telling you that the more of us who move in the direction towards vegan and in the direction towards whole food, plant-based, the better off your health and nutrition is going to be, the better off you're going to feel, the better off our environment is going to be, and the better off we all are because we're all making a small indent instead of a few people making a large indent. And really, it's a journey. This life is a journey. So I'm here to encourage you to do whatever amount of Veganuary and whatever amount of plant-based whole food nutrition you can do and you can incorporate. So instead of having meat as your foundation, have a variety of different protein sources that you lean towards. Now, with that said, I want to let you know that down in the description box below, I've left a link where you can grab a how I prepare and think about food and compiling my food, especially as I eat intuitively. So click on that link in the description box below and go and get your free guide on how to have a successful Veganuary. But for now, let's talk about your 3 tips, plus a bonus tip, so stick around till the end, to having a successful Veganuary. As I've alluded to, the first tip is all about the mental game. And the first piece of this tip is know yourself. So check out those human design videos. I've got the playlist linked in the description box because that is a way for you to better get to know if you are someone who needs to plan more or if you are someone who needs to go with the flow more and just have a little bit of a looser structure. If you are someone who can just jump in cold turkey, you know exactly what you need to do and you're ready to do it, and you like the thrill of cutting yourself off from a previous way and starting fresh, then you do that. If that's what works for you, I want you to do it. If you are someone who needs to ease your way into it, then the following steps in this video are going to help you out with that easing process. No matter what, it is all about what you are adding, not what you are subtracting. I'm going to say that again. Get excited about what you are adding and crowd out what you are subtracting. So you're not focused on what is disappearing or what is not on your plate. Focus on the excitement and the creativity of what you get to play with and put on your plate and experiment with and try out. Try some new things. And so how do you start to prepare yourself for that mental piece of it? Well, start to test out different vegan alternatives. Start to test out those meat substitutes because those are the easiest swap for swap. And oh my goodness, you are so lucky because now is the time that we have some of the best meat alternatives out there. We were actually visiting with a friend of mine and we went out for dinner in Hawaii, and my partner got a Beyond Meat burger and my friend got a burger. And my partner bit into the burger and was like, wow, this is so good. And he was like, you need to try this. So I took a bite of it and I looked at him, and it was dusk. I couldn't really see the food. I looked at him and I was like, I think they messed up. I think this is the burger. So we gave the Beyond Burger to my friend, and my friend tried it having just had a meat burger, and she was like, no, you're fine. It isn't a meat burger. But like, she had just had a bite of the meat burger and just had a bite of the Beyond Burger. And she was like, no, it is different, but like, wow, is it close. So if you haven't just had a bite of a meat burger, the Beyond Burger is like, if you need a burger, it's your burger. So to prepare yourself for the mental game, you want to start to get excited for the foods that you're going to get to try, the recipes that you want to try. Start testing out those swaps. Think about what you are getting to attempt and getting to try versus what is missing from your plate. Which I've sort of started to touch on this, but the second tip is to start researching those foods and those recipes that you are excited to try. I'm gonna have in that download, I'm gonna have a bunch of different vegan and whole food plant-based resources that you can check out. I also have a few really simple recipes on my website, and then on my Instagram, you can find in my Instagram stories, I have a tendency to just like film whatever it is I'm making that night, which is usually super simple. I just did one that was like a 7-minute peanut sauce noodle dish. It was delightful, but it was so simple. And those sorts of things you can find on my Instagram and on other people's Instagrams, but I'll also have some resources in that download link. So the key to step number 2 is start to think about, if you're making spaghetti, what are the swaps that you would be making? If you're making a Thai dish or a Mexican dish, what are those swaps that you would be making? Which leads me into my third tip, is to prepare your grocery list, your pantry, and if applicable, your food ordering service for what would you be using and eating in this Veganuary experiment. So what that looks like is check your labels. I've got one enchilada sauce that has dairy in it, and I have another enchilada sauce that doesn't have dairy in it. So it's that habit of reading the labels. It doesn't necessarily have to have the V on it or the plant-based logo or anything along those lines, but just start to get familiar with hidden dairy products, hidden egg products in your baking. Oh, I had heard that Bisquick is accidentally vegan, and then instead of adding egg to it, you just add the milk product or the milk alternative to it. And then you've got pancakes or waffles. And I love a different gluten-free brand. And so I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna grab my gluten-free brand. I get it home, and it has egg powder in it. Those little tiny things that you don't really think about, those are the pieces of the puzzle. Start getting used to checking for ingredients. Now, when it comes to your pantry staples, again, that link down in the description box is going to give you a whole list of different types of building blocks, which is my bonus tip, so we'll get into that in a moment. But it'll give you that information on what types of things do you want to have stocked up in your kitchen? What spices do you need to have to ensure that your food has a ton of flavor, or that you're switching out and trying new flavors? What sorts of protein bases do you need to have and start to get familiar with? Which brings us to my fourth and the bonus tip of how to have a successful Veganuary. And that is where a lot of people get tripped up. You're not just taking out the meat. People think, oh, I'm gonna go vegan, therefore I'm just going to take out the meat. And then they wonder why they're starving all the time. and they feel lethargic and they don't have that energy and they feel as if they are malnourished. And the reason for that is you have to replace those calories and you have to add in different types of protein. Now, the beautiful thing about a vegan diet is that you're taking out protein. Don't even get me started. We will be talking about macros and all of that in upcoming videos, so not to worry. But let's just, for this video, if you're taking out protein, the beautiful thing about going vegan is that you're not replacing it with just protein. You're replacing it with protein and fiber and vitamins and minerals and nutrients and all of these other things, but you do need to replace those calories. You do need to ensure that by taking out the meat, you are putting in equivalencies as far as a nutrient and calorie density profile. And so I'm going to share with you how I structure my meals. And this is somebody who I'm very right-facing in human design. I really prefer to not have a lot of structure in my life. As I alluded to earlier in this video, as I said very blatantly in this video, I don't do well with saying no to myself. I like freedom and flexibility. So how I ensure that I have a complete nutritional profile in my meals, and by in my meals, I actually mean throughout the course of a single day. I structure my meals and I sort of plan in my mind this way. First off, do I have a carb, a base, a grain, a starchy vegetable? Something that provides that carbohydrate component to the dish. From there, I make sure that I add colorful vegetables. So these are your non-starchy vegetables. These are your peppers, your zucchinis, your mushrooms. They include your dark leafy greens, your broccoli. Some ideas about that will be linked down in that download. And then what's your protein source? Now, again, when you are eating whole food plant-based or vegan, your protein source also includes additional amounts of fiber. So typically, those first two categories, they already have fiber. And then your third category is going to have fiber, but it is that heavier leaning towards protein. So that could be your edamame, your soy proteins, your soy curls is one of my favorites, your legumes, your lentils. Those sorts of things, those are your protein sources. Or it could be your replacement meat. And then finally, the fourth component of the dish is what are your flavors, your sauces, the spices, the herbs. And in that category, I usually find that's where I'll add in those fats as well. So that's where I'll put in my sesame oil or my olive oil. So you'll get your fats from the sauces and likely some avocado, or if you want to add some crunch to the top, then you add your nuts and seeds, which will also give you some of those healthy fats. And that's how I build out a meal. And I use that in a single meal, but I also use it in a daily meal scope. So in any given day, I might not have much for breakfast, or I might not have breakfast, and then I'll have a big lunch. And again, that's because I'm more right-facing in my human design, so I typically don't eat early in the morning, and that works really well for me. But if you are someone who eats early in the morning, don't worry, there's going to be some breakfast ideas in there. And then throughout the day, so for my lunch and my dinner and my snacks, I'm thinking about, okay, what did I put together? What didn't I put together? Have I had some protein already? Do I need to focus a little bit more on protein when it comes to my dinner plans? What does that look like in a daily basis? Humans don't need to eat 3 square meals every day. We have the ability to be more flexible with our food. Now, if you are more left-facing in your human design profile, it is better for you to eat in a more structured way, to pre-plan your food, to pre-prepare your food, and to set yourself up in a more planned fashion. If you are more right-facing in your human design, then it is more likely that you will be listening to me being like, yeah, that's the stuff I like. So I do want to caveat that what I'm saying is very good for my rightness in human design, design versus if you are more left facing in human design, I want you to make sure that you are checking out those videos and that you are focusing on the planning aspects. That means do your grocery lists, plan out your meals, plan out your recipes, meal prep for the week, get your snacks up and ready for you. And there's more information about all of that in those human design videos. To recap, your 4 tips for a successful Veganuary. The first tip is to get your head game in it. Know yourself first. That's why I'm posting this video so early. Make sure that you have identified what is going to work best for you so that you are feeling excited and prepared in whatever way that means for you for your Veganuary journey. 2, make sure that you are getting excited. Do that prep work. Take a look at your recipes. Get excited for the different things you're gonna try. Start testing out different plant-based milks. Start testing out different meat alternatives. Start testing now. Plan out your pantry. Take a look at those ingredients in your prepackaged foods. Know what works, know what isn't vegan, and start to compile your spices and your other flavorings that are going to be helpful and useful for you in this journey. And finally, you are not only taking out meat, you are swapping. You still need to make sure that you have a complete nutritional profile, and you can do that by building up your food through my really simple formula. Some kind of starchy something, all the colorful veg, a protein source, whatever that is that has the higher percentage of protein in it, and then flavorings, sauces, spices, and the healthy fats that come along with a crunch or a dressing. And that's it. Those are my initial tips that will help you to have a more successful than mine Veganuary. If you enjoy this content, please remember to give it a thumbs up. I'm curious what you've got to say about all this down in the description box below. As I said, it is not all or nothing for all of us. We need more people moving in the direction of whole food plant-based for not only your own health, but the health of the planet. And I encourage you to embark on whatever type of journey this is for you. I am gonna have more content like this coming up. We will be doing some more cooking and demonstrations, as well as some more information about how I intuitively put together recipes. And in the description box below, I have that link where you can download a quick starter guide to a successful Veganuary so that you can feel prepared in whatever way that looks for you. Preparedness is on a sliding scale, and some of us are going to be more flexible in our preparedness and others are going to be more planned in our preparedness. So please make sure that you get that little download, and then I will see you in the next video.